So this is the road to probably like 1,000 rapid elo, I'm gonna say, and I got a couple of banger games to show for it. Um, so let's check out the rapid elo. Over the past year, I've went up 95 points on my account. So we're working there. Unless we go to the all time, which we don't have to look at. But let's past 7 days, we're up 17 points. Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy. So we're gonna start off with we're gonna check out this game. This is a clean back rank. There was a brilliant move played in this game. Um, I did not convert it properly, and I basically won by the hair on my nuts. So we'll check it out. Um, So this starts off with a London. I'm quite a big fan of the accelerated London, honestly. Um, it works really well. It's simplistic. Yeah, you do the same thing every single game, and the positions look fairly similar from game to game. So you're not getting a lot of you're not getting the best mix of play. So I might eventually switch up my opening, um, but we just get a fairly simplistic um, position here. And I was kind of thinking here, you know, I have this backup space. I really like to do this in my games just so I can play um, from afar. I like to have my bishops posted up where they can have um, a very big line of fire that the opponents in 530 elo they tend to forget about quite frequently. He plays knight in. There's not really much of a goal here. It's just kind of asking a question because every single move, um, I mean, I guess it protects this pawn more. I mean, it didn't really need to be because it was protected twice already, and I genuinely have no attackers on it. So, anywho, um, I play knight in or pawn in to c3 just to kick out that knight, and we're just getting a pretty decent game. I've had this position a lot. I'm not sure if it is the best position in all honesty, um, just because it does. I feel like it would be an okay position if I was already castled, but my opponent is also not castled, so I don't have to worry about it too extensively. Um, you also can, if this pawn ever moves on f6, I can really easily just plop a knight into my center, um, and I don't really have to think twice about it. So at this point, I think yes, I was thinking about just moving my bishop out and castling, keeping it simple, and then now I can really make use and punish the opponent for opening up my e-file. I play queen up, but giving this pawn protection and also giving my connecting my rooks was the also the big idea. I could have, um, I mean, protected with a couple of other moves. Actually, I think there was only two moves that I could have protected with, and pushing this pawn would have been an inaccuracy because it would have loosened my protection of my queen or my king here. Um, he plays pawn up, which is not very smart because he has one, two. I have one, two, three, about a b4, about a b5, and about a b6 even. Attackers, just all of my pieces of material, just clobbering him. So I take. There's not really, and yeah, this pawn as well that can join the party. And now I have this file that's opened up. There's not really an immediate threat there. It could somewhat develop into something soon. And now I'm really running out of firepower because I don't think I want to. I don't know if I took with this. I did. Okay, so I took there, and now I'm seeing the full fruits of my attack here. It really just turns into a game of me doubling my rooks, putting my material on the proper places, And then at this point, I'm starting to try to think of how I can get my knight into the game. And so I take here. He cannot take. Um, and now I play my knight into the center, which is quite a big inaccuracy. It would have been a lot smarter to go here. I was just worried about this move, but this move will win my opponent a free pawn. Because after takes, and then my opponent has some counterplay. Like my queen is basically pinned to these two pawns at this point in the game, and he could even take with his rook down here and probably have like an interesting game. But I still have this, and then after takes, so he goes in, he takes it, and he takes the pawn. I play up with my rook, defending this, and also trying to put my rook in front of my queen. That was kind of the big idea with that move, and I go for it. He pushes the pawn. I just play up with my rook. I'm just kind of waiting for a move. And now the big mistake he made here is his queen is no longer on this file, which means it can't protect against any checks or block any checks. So I'm just going to come in, starting my attack here. He plays there, and, I just take his rook just to simplify the game. I just kind of want to simplify things. I take a petty little check. He goes here. He goes here. I check. He goes back. And I blundered here. This is not a blunder. This is a brilliant move because after takes, I go here. He goes back. I take. Checkmate. Because of this powerful diagonal. Again, I like to snipe with my bishops. It is very good to have your bishops in not passive positions, but strategically play your bishops where they're, to your opponent, they're out of sight, out of mind, but they hold very key squares in limiting the mobility of all of his pieces. And then he takes, and I completely blunder the entirety of the game because with takes here, he has time. He has time to come back and start harassing my rook. So after that, I go bishop here. And I'm starting to get scared because that was a amazing move, but I completely blundered the fact that I could just push the rook up and the king wouldn't have time to get back, nor the queen in any mannerism. But I somehow, after he plays here, I knew that, he can't take here because of the inevitable check, and then this square is still pinned. This square is pinned. So he doesn't have any room. And then I actually won the checkmate after winning his queen. So that was an extremely risky play there. And I really did not like the conversion of that game, but I ultimately won. Which was kind of crazy. I don't know how I won that. This game, oh boy. Let's check this game out. So, again, I start off with an accelerated London. He immediately tries to threaten my bishop. I just slide the bishop back. Excuse me. God. No fuss in just throwing the bishop back, and he's immediately trying to harass my bishop yet again. Weakening these pawns on his king's side, because now it is obsolete to cancel there, and he would just... obsolete to castle there. Otherwise, he would just lose the game immediately. And he just takes too much space. He takes too much space, and I didn't know how to punish it. That's really where this game went wrong, because, all of his pieces are on the back rank. He has completely just stuffed his pieces down my throat. Pause. he's put all of his pawns in my territory, and I don't really have an immediate way to punish this. And I'm not very good in these situations to be able to convert these positions. Um, so I was thinking of how I can break down this pawn structure and get over here to this king. Um, and I thought here would be something that would work momentarily, and because it is defended twice, so if he plays a move like bishop here, but of course, he just, you know, he just takes, and then pushes that pawn, um, which leaves me to go all the way back, because this square would just be met with this. Um, this square is obviously defended, and then it would open up my entire file. It would just be a complete blunder. So I gotta go all the way back. He's taking so much space away from my pieces that I cannot move. I legitimately can't move in this game. I should have tried to have some sort of play on this side of the board before he had the time to get this kind of stone wall structure here. And then I'm able to play in here finally again, and actually take some space back for myself, take this check, and plant, essentially just plant my queen here just so I can control what's going on here, because this is very scary, especially since he managed somehow to get both of these pawns on the other side. I'm planning on using this this G2 pawn as just a bit of an umbrella momentarily until I can, I don't know, push here and kind of run out of the way, run out of the danger. And I'm expecting this pawn to advance and throw apart my entire position that is already losing very, very extensively. So I just take that pawn. I think that is okay, but I need immediate development to be able to run my king away, because, I mean, he could checkmate me just by, I don't know, he could move here, sacrificing the rook, and he can move here, takes, whatever, or no. Yeah, because I'd have to take him, and it would just convert really well for him. Then he could go here, castles, the bishop would be out, he'd be able to go here, or here, and then come all the way down the line and checkmate me. Obviously I would have some time, but there's a lot of ideas in here. I'm saying it like a 500 elo, but there are a lot of ideas to be able to just come down this line and use this pawn as an absolute anchor, in order to be able to just ruin my position and eventually lead to checkmate. So I completely blunder the bishop here. I got completely blindsided and forgot that my piece was hanging after this pawn pushed, and I was like, oh, I like this, because I'm able to go bam, bam, boom, and then have my rook coming down the file. So he takes, obviously. I play back with my rook, and now this limits my mobility even more, and it's just going to take even more moves to get my king to a safe spot, and now I can't really do that, because these two spaces, especially this one on c2, was going to be my safe space for my king that I was going to try to run it to. And this pawn is just completely ruining that. So I didn't even acknowledge the fact that the pawn was hanging in the moment, which is just fantastic. After a few more moves, I don't hang my knight, surprisingly. We trade off. I take. He comes down, makes a queen, and I have to take, because otherwise he's got way too many pieces of material just looking down the line. And I'm actually surprisingly converting this well. I've taken all of his pawns, and I keep checking him, and obviously he's up 2 rooks, which is just, gonna make the game extremely difficult. And then I didn't have a way to defend this pawn, really. I didn't really have anything here. I did not, there wasn't any way to defend that pawn. It was completely donezo. I could have maybe did a preemptive move of just moving my king down the line, instead of trying to push that pawn, and also making this pawn very weak in the long run, or this pawn very weak in the long run because it's not protected. But if I would have, it would have kept things a little bit more smooth. And now he just ladder mates me. Beautiful conversion from my opponent. And yeah, no, it's been difficult. I've been struggling quite significantly to get up the rating ladder. Yeah, I mostly play when I'm just exhausted, and then it winds up just not being able to convert into a good game.